And hello, everyone. I do believe we are live now on TTG's Facebook page. Welcome to another edition of 1 Week at a Time. So it's our weekly catch up with Deben Travel, which, if you follow the TTG Top 50, were named the UK and Ireland's top agency earlier in the year. As always, delighted to be joined by owner and managing director Lee Hunt. Lee, how are you doing today?
Very good, thanks. Good afternoon, everyone.
And you're in the cruise shop again, Lee. It's a different side of the cruise shop today, isn't it? A different angle.
Different angle in the cruise shop today because I'm trying to cover up the fact that the building work still hasn't been done.
Oh, no, again.
I think the person doing the building work is the same company that may be trying to sort out some of our refunds. So, we'll see. We might get it done one day.
I was going to say it might be a while in the pipeline, but thanks thanks as ever for inviting us. And yeah, as ever, it's another crazy week, a difficult week, a challenging week. And I suppose, how has it been for you and the team, first and foremost? Obviously, we'll get on to the huge issue at the moment. But how can you sort of assess the last sort of 7 days or so?
Yeah, the last week for us, worryingly quiet, I must say, from a bookings perspective. The fewest amount of bookings we've done for many, many weeks, actually. Last week, Monday through to Saturday, we actually only booked 4 holidays, which, well, is unheard of. 3 of those were villa holidays for summer 21, and one of them was a relatively last-minute Turkey travelling in October. So from a business perspective last week, diabolical. Cruise shop, no bookings at all. A worry. Some encouraging inquiries coming through, but they certainly aren't converting into bookings as yet. But I would say if there is anything encouraging to be taken out of the 4 bookings that we did last week, all 4 of those bookings, as a result, were Facebook posts. So it does show that what we're trying to do on social media is working. So we're obviously going to continue the focus on that. But 4 bookings in a week isn't enough to cover anything. So we're really hoping that this week we see an uplift in bookings being taken.
What do you? I suppose it's probably hard to attribute that to anything, but is it just the, obviously we'll get on to the sort of the elephant in the Spanish elephant in the room in a minute, but do you think it's just the general sense at the moment, because things were really starting to look up, weren't they, the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks or so?
Yeah, I mean, the 3 weeks following up to that, we were in a good position with bookings. I mean, just to put it into context, before COVID, we would average kind of 8 to 10 bookings a day, quite often. Most days, with obviously 6 staff members in a day. But last week, it really did just drop off. The phones went quiet. The actual thoroughfare, our high street, was quiet as well. We certainly noticed on Friday, when face masks become mandatory, I think we really only had a couple of people even come into the shop on Friday. Today, again, footfall doesn't seem great on the high street. So we're just going to have to keep an eye on it, really. But it is worrying, but let's hope that trend kind of turns around this week.
Yeah, let's hope perhaps it's sort of a start of the summer holidays lull, maybe, or something like that. But
it could be, yeah. I mean, because for us, the main schools all broke up on Friday. There's a lot of public schools in this, a lot of private schools in this area as well, that broke up a little bit earlier. Being a tourist town, it can sometimes help with footfall, doesn't obviously always help with bookings. So we'll just need to wait and see what this week brings us. Every day's different, isn't it, in travel?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, actually, every hour's different, really, isn't it, at the moment?
I was going to say, and it doesn't matter what time of the week, or as we said. So here we go. Let's get into it. So the news that everyone really was dreading came on Saturday evening, when Spain was taken off the UK's safe list, and quarantine measures were imposed as of midnight on Sunday morning. It's a huge blow really for the industry, Lee. I know that we'll go on to speak about how you've been taking sort of bookings in July and August and deciding not to. But can you just assess the news on Spain and just how much of an impact it is for the industry in general, given Spain's popularity and the fact that its perceived nature as being safe and popular at the moment to be booked?
I think the fact that Spain is has such a reliance on the UK for tourists, that's a massive blow, first of all, to the business owners and the inbound tour operators in Spain. But I think from my perspective as a business owner, I was keeping an eye on Twitter Saturday night, which I'm sure a lot of people in the travel industry were. And when the announcement was made, the announcement didn't really come as a massive surprise, because I was keeping an eye during the week, and the COVID cases in mainland Spain really did rocket last week. 4,500 new cases in mainland Spain last week. So I think it was inevitable that the UK government were going to put safeguards in place. So obviously they announced that we would have to quarantine for 14 days on returning from Spain, and they also announced the all but essential travel from the Foreign and Commonwealth Office as well. I think where the government went wrong, again, was this blanket decision, this blanket ban. It is absolutely right that at the moment it's all but essential travel to Spain, and it's absolutely right that we should be quarantining for 14 days when we land back from Spain. But it just makes no sense at all that the Canary Islands and Balearic Islands are part of that decision, taking into account how few cases those groups of islands have actually had.
Yeah, and mentioning the islands there, because there was quite a discrepancy, wasn't there, in the information when it came out. Of course, you know, like the government is prone to these days, things leak early, don't they? And then that creates that sort of that hype. Everyone's waiting for the actual announcement. But there was a discrepancy between the DfT's advice and the FCO's advice regarding some islands being exempt. That obviously can't help really. But just in terms of how other customers have reacted to it. I know you decided not to book July and August. Do you feel sort of vindicated on that, and you think that this was kind of the outcome that you think would have happened if you had continued booking July and August?
I suppose a little vindicated, because normally in any normal situation, yesterday, I would have been up early, running reports of all those people that we've got travelling, more than likely having to come into the shop. But actually, because we weren't taking any new bookings for July and August travel, and because we had no passengers due to depart because they'd already transferred or previously been cancelled, we haven't had the headache that many travel agents across the UK will be going through. And kind of my heart goes out to them, because obviously we know what a nightmare it is trying to deal with cancelled bookings and trying to deal with those customers. It's a shame that the announcement came on a Saturday evening, because a lot of the people that we would need to speak to wouldn't necessarily be available on a Sunday. So that would leave uncertainty then with travel agents, but also customers as well over the weekend. But again, you know, I think with the government decision, it could have been risky leaving it till the Monday. They may well have been challenged as to why they didn't implement the decision as soon as they had the facts, if you like, with regards to the COVID cases. Because let's face it, what we need is we need COVID eradicated as soon as possible, or we absolutely need. Or we need to be in a position where we can comfortably book destinations and not worry about coronavirus. And we're only going to do that if we protect ourselves as a country as well. So, you know, I think the decision was right, but I just think the government just really do need to take a step back and look at the information they're putting out before doing it, really.
Yeah, do you think that they felt perhaps they've been slow on other policies and implementing other stuff, you know, perhaps like the quarantine? Some people said they should have put it back in March, but then they sort of brought it in June, and it was quickly ditched. Do you think that they felt this time they had to act and had to be seen to be acting, so they sort of rushed into it at the expense of obviously a lot of hardworking agents and the travel industry?
I think, again, it's the lack of understanding that the UK government has with the travel industry, particularly the outbound industry. That it's been shown over the previous months what a lack of understanding the UK government actually do have. I think it's the only one decision that they seem to have acted on really quickly. And then when they acted on that decision, the information they put out was just totally incorrect and contradicted itself. If they would have been as quick at announcing other decisions, I believe as an industry, we probably would have been supported much, much better. But again, I think it's the decision being made at the right time. But, you know, someone needs to make sure that the information being put out is correct.
So in terms of your customers' reaction to it, Lee, I know obviously you said you haven't got any departures that would be directly affected by it, but has there been a bit of a knock-on effect and that sort of wobbly consumer confidence at best as it is right now? Have other customers contacted you who are going later in the year who have seen this and are getting worried about being caught in a similar situation?
I think, the way the announcement was made has just created a huge amount of uncertainty, and it's kind of, it's really cut through that confidence consumers had. It's kind of, it is worrying people now that are travelling, because yesterday, Sunday, I was receiving emails from customers that are travelling in September. Today, we've received telephone calls for people travelling in September and October. There's not a massive amount we can say to reassure people, because we obviously know that these corridors could close with hours' notice. And so, apart from trying to facilitate the amendment of someone's holiday, which is likely to incur administration charges, because certainly at this stage people can't cancel, if they're travelling September, October, and expect to have a refund. So it is just trying to reassure the customer that decisions can be made late, but you've booked through us and we're going to look after you. So if at 5 o'clock on a Saturday or 8 o'clock on a Saturday night, we find out there's an issue with your holiday, we will do all we can to be in contact with you straight away. And I think that's, where us as travel agents really come into our own, and we can come through all this looking amazing. By really looking after our customers. Whereas those that are booked online or with a call centre, who haven't necessarily got a face to deal with, they may not be going down that channel to book their travel in future.
And are they the kind of lines and the kind of reassurances that you're giving? Because in terms of customers, is it people of a certain age demographic, or is it sort of the family market, or is it concerns all over the shop from different customers? And is that basically what you're saying? Don't worry, you book with Deben Travel and you're looked after.
Yeah, I think, first of all, reassuring them that we'll let them know as soon as we know. Secondly, making sure they're aware that we have no control of a business around these travel corridors. So they may well find out at the same time as we do, if they're keeping up to date with Foreign Office advice and 24-hour news channels and social media. But that's all we can do, is assure people that if anything was to change, we will let them know and facilitate whatever needs facilitating as quickly as possible, really. And if at this moment in time you're uncomfortable to travel, we will see what we can do with regards to moving your holiday to a later date, although there's a very good chance administration fees are going to be incurred by the airlines and tour operators, because obviously at the moment there is no reason why you shouldn't be travelling.
Yeah, and is that putting their minds at rest, really, is it? Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's putting their mind at rest. They're still anxious, but at least they know we're on the ball. And again, I think, travel agents across the UK will be on the ball with this type of thing, and we can make sure we reassure our customers if anything was to happen.
It's that trust, isn't it? And agents do such a fantastic job, and like you say, it's that sort of personal touch. And let's sort of see how that progresses. No doubt, as you said, an hour is a long time these days, isn't it? So who knows?
Definitely. I think my concern is now, with consumers now knowing how late these decisions could be made. I mentioned what a terrible week we had last week with new bookings. Is it going to undermine the confidence of people booking new holidays, particularly for this summer? Now, September, October, when we're obviously taking bookings, is it going to undermine that confidence in people booking, knowing that as at a few hours' notice that their holiday could be either cancelled or enforced quarantine, which obviously some people just can't do, some people can't afford to do. So it will be interesting to see what happens with those September and October bookings moving forward now, and seeing if kind of the nature of the way the announcement was made on Saturday night affects confidence in people booking.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I think it will.
Yeah, I was going to say, hopefully not, but I see what you mean. And the fact that the government was so unrepentant on Sunday morning, and they said, we had to do it like this, and this was how they did it. There was no, as always in this case, but in this crisis, but there was no thought, was there, for the businesses and the impact of essentially turning off a country that a lot of people have booked holidays for, and people have booked their holidays for.
I suppose that's what surprised me. It's as if the government just think we can just simply turn the tap off. It takes a long time to pot holidays together. There are lots of components to it, which are very costly components as well for the tour operators, the airlines, and indeed us as travel agents. There are costs involved. It's people's lives they're playing with, quite literally. Lives and livelihoods are at stake here, and it needs to be handled properly. Otherwise, we're going to see more businesses go under in the coming weeks and months, unfortunately.
Yeah, and speaking about that as we move on, and talking about how long a time a a week is. There was the awful news around this time last week about the demise of cruise and maritime voyages, such a much loved brand. And we were speaking just before we came on early about how Tilbury is your closest port and a real stronghold for CMV. Yeah, can you just assess the sort of the disappointment there and what impact that company's failure will have on your cruise business and your clients?
Yeah, I think just to echo what you said there, a loved brand, CMV. We've had over the years a very good relationship with them, very loyal customers cruising with CMV. I've cruised with them myself on the Norwegian fjords. With quite a few years ago now, we had our work Christmas party on board one of their ships in Tilbury. So I think for us, it is a big impact. We only had 8 forward bookings, so not a massive amount of forward bookings. And Ella, who looks after our cruise stores, filling in the APSA forms on behalf of our customers and doing all the required paperwork. But we're in an area of the country, being in the east of England, where many people feel Southampton or Dover are quite simply the other side of the earth. It's a long way for people to travel. And actually, if you don't drive, it's a very costly place to get to as well, because the rail links aren't great and taxis are very expensive from this part of the country down there. So for us, cruise and maritime voyages sailing from Tilbury was perfect because it's relatively inexpensive to get to, relatively inexpensive to park. And so it is a huge loss losing CMV, but also losing the port of Tilbury. We've also got another port close to us, Harwich, which hasn't been used now for a few years. So I'm hoping that, over the next couple of years that there may be more cruise lines looking at sailing out of places like Tilbury and Harwich, which are really going to help us agents. Well, I think that it'll help agents across the whole of the UK, but it'll particularly help us agents in the east of England. So yeah, kind of watch this space really and see if any cruise lines take up the opportunity of sailing from those ports.
Yeah, because it was CMV's regionality, wasn't it? That was probably their greatest weapon, I suppose. That they had that variation, and they went to the ports that people didn't. I know Fred Olsen have picked up a couple of ships in the last few weeks. Perhaps they might maybe move in. Is a similar type of demographic?
So. Because Fred Olsen they're based here in the east. Their head office is in Ipswich, which is just down the road from us. So let's hope they look at ports such as Tilbury and Harwich, also cruise lines like Holland America, where a few years ago they actually sailed out of Harwich. So the ports are there. And the infrastructure's there to be used. So it'll be a shame if we don't use it. And I think that's also my fear with local airports, with the recent announcement that EasyJet are going to be pulling out their bases from Southend and Stansted. That could have huge impacts on us because, again, not everyone is comfortable or confident about travelling down to the London airport. So, yeah, it's going to have such wide-ranging impacts on us as a businesses, across the UK, but also the consumer, the traveller as well.
Yeah, let's hope that when sort of costs are cut, I suppose the regionality nature of it and the extra spend on those sort of smaller hubs does tend to go first, which is a real shame. And you're right that if customers can't get that connection, then they won't be able to book, or they won't want. If you look at cruising, perhaps when things do start to come back for ocean, perhaps people might want to do sort of more closer to home UK cruising, and somewhere out of Tilbury would be perfect for that. So let's hope.
Yeah, I would hope that UK cruising is going to be really popular. But I'm sure, like many travel agents across the UK that are close to airports, we have customers that say, "I will only go away if I can fly from Norwich, and I'll only go away if I can fly from Southend." So it does have a big impact on us as a business if we lose that regionality. So I hope airlines and cruise operators do look into that when putting their schedules in place.
Let's hope so. Let's watch that space. And again, as we said, the ever-changing nature of business now. And if you look at retail from Friday, masks were mandatory in English shops. How have you found it? You showed me the protective sneeze guards that you've got on the desk. I don't know if you can sort of show everyone that. Who knows? But how have you found that interaction? Because I know you were a little bit wary of how that might sort of play out between yourselves and customers. Perhaps wearing masks. I don't think staff are actually obliged to. Are they leave? How have you found that interaction with customers?
Yeah, so staff aren't obliged to wear the masks, although I have said to the team, that if you want to wear masks, you can do. We've taken extra precautions in the shop with these sneeze guards that we've had produced, which kind of look look like this.
Oh, is it branded? Oh, right.
Oh, branded.
Branded.
So we've had these extra guards put in place just because the desks having plastic fixings to them, it just wasn't working. Friday footfall was certainly a lot lower. Today has been mixed, I would say. We've had some people coming in and wearing the masks, some people come in wearing the mask and then ironically take the mask off to speak to you.
Really?
Some people come in without the mask and then say, do I need to wear it? And we're, well, yes, please. So it's a real mix. I would say the higher percentage of people seem to have their mask dangling around the neck area than they do actually over their face and nose.
A chin guard almost. It doesn't help, does it?
We have masks. So if for any reason people come in without masks, both our stores have masks that we're happy to give away complimentary. I might start charging for them if business continues to be as bad as what it was last week. I could make a few quid from selling those, I think. But yeah, I think it's just going to take time to bed in, really. Again, it's one of those things that certainly for the foreseeable future, we're just going to have to get used to. And that will be interesting to see over the next couple of weeks if footfall on the high street is affected because of it. And I think, you know, I've got a good relationship with local retailers as well, so I can have a chat to those people working in the clothes shops and in the and you know, other retailers to see what their footfall figures have been like.
Yeah, it will be really interesting, won't it? I hate to use the phrase new normal. Oh, I've said it now, but that's the case, isn't it? Of people getting used to it and seeing how it goes, and within, you know, perhaps even when you go to the pub or a restaurant, it's the track and trace thing now. I've become very used to it, just putting your name and number down, and you think masks, you know, in shops might become that way now. Who knows?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think again, you know, we're struggling because as a business, we're used to people sitting quite close to us. And we're used to being able to turn the screen round so the customer can see what we're seeing and look at the images of hotels and villas that we're seeing. And that's just become near on impossible. So it's just new ways of working, really, that we're trying to come up with. And at the moment, I don't necessarily think we've come up with a magical solution to these new ways of working. So, you know, it's ongoing, and I think it's something that all of us are going to need to try and come up with these new ways of working to help benefit our business, and so, you know, we actually start making some money.
Yeah, I think that, you know, if you can rely on agents for resilience and adaptability, I'm sure that's definitely the case. And it was quite nice on Friday to mark that you know, that resilience, that hard work, that dedication, that knowledge, that passion in the first National Travel Agents Day. It was an incentive or an initiative, excuse me, run sort of by Intrepid Travel. It was really taken on by the industry and went industry wide. It was lovely to see. I was wondering how you and the team marked it, Lee, whether you had a sort of a little celebration yourselves, or maybe sort of just marked it in a quieter way, perhaps, or the hard work.
Well, first, Intrepid, I think it was great, and the social media activity on that day was phenomenal. We certainly got behind it from a social media perspective. We've putting images up of ourselves on our own travel, using the hashtag on the day as well. I must be totally honest, in any normal year, we probably would have got behind it that much more. But obviously, with two staff members, myself and one other team member in Deben Travel, and one team member here at Cruise Ready, there's not much of, dare I say, a party atmosphere at the moment. So in future years, I really do hope it's something that's continued, and certainly is something that we would like to get behind. And hopefully in future years as well, we bring together, you know, we've got a travel quest here in Woodbridge, which is part of the Fred Olsen Group, who we've got a good relationship with. You know, we borrow brochures with them, we chat to them. Hopefully in future years, you know, it can actually bring travel agents together from different businesses to raise a glass in the pub after work on National Travel Agents Day. So yeah, hopefully in future it'll grow, definitely.
Yeah, and the fact that it was a really industry wide, and it really took off, and everyone was really, after so many months of you know, hard, difficult times and so much stress and so much uncertainty and worry, I think it was nice to sort of have that industry unity, because the travel industry is so close knit, isn't it? And it, like you said, it's so collaborative and everyone gets on. But was it nice to have that sense for a day?
It was really nice to have the sense of unity, because obviously, having been around for a while myself, it's, you know, you do know a lot of people in the travel industry, and you really do get that feeling that people do care about each other and people do want to look after each other. Through the years, I've made so many friends through the travel industry. And so, during times like this, obviously I care about my own business and my own team. But when I hear about other businesses struggling as well, whether it be large tour operators, whether it be some of the guys that work out on the road being made redundant, or whether it be people that I've been on educationals with fam trips with in the past and seeing them tweeting about what a tough time they're having, it does make you want to reach out and just let them know kind of we are all in this together. And that's why sometimes I think, by doing these weekly one-to-ones and speaking to you kind of as I do on a Monday and just saying to people, last week was an absolutely terrible week. We did 4 bookings and, that's not going to pay any bills at all. Hopefully people will be sitting at home watching this thinking, I'm not in this alone. There are others that are struggling at the moment as well.
Yeah, and you're such a great sort of speaker and ambassador in that sense, Lee. And obviously, of course, on the radio as well, you've been very busy this week on your local radio station or regional station, getting the message out there on passports, on Spain, on sort of consumer confidence. Yeah, can you sort of talk a bit about that? And is it nice to be that agent voice, giving that certainty to people, or at least giving a bit more reassurance to people in a wider context?
Yeah, I think built up a good relationship with BBC Radio Suffolk, and it was Tuesday morning I was invited on to the breakfast show to speak about the delays at the passport office, because we know at the moment the passport office is having horrendous delays with processing new passports. So it was good to obviously speak about that. Later on in Sunday morning then, speaking about obviously the Foreign Office announcement with regards to travel to Spain. I got the call at about 7:45 Sunday morning, so that wasn't quite so good. But yeah, again, it was good to be invited onto the show. And earlier on today, the call was about consumer confidence in booking holidays, travelling over the next few months. I think for me, first of all, from a business perspective, it's great to get Deben Travel's name out there, definitely. And quite often after I do these interviews, we do have telephone calls and emails from people that haven't come across us before, either asking for advice or even on one occasion last week looking to check the availability of a holiday, which is great. But I think actually for travel agents in general, no matter what interview I'm doing, I always try and really push the point, book with a local travel agent. So, I think if we can all do what we can with getting that message across, hopefully it will start kind of subliminally, people will just know they should be booking with a trusted travel agent. And that's the real message that I want to get across to everybody.
Yeah, because you'd be crazy not to now more than ever with all the uncertainty of everything that's going on. Is that basically, obviously the message now, and we're sort of speaking to the trade and agents here, but do you think that the more that message gets into the sort of the consumer and the public psyche, then, agents will have something sort of tangible to get from these sort of dark times?
Yeah, I think so. I've said it before, but I do think we have an opportunity to come out of this looking better and being stronger than ever as travel agents, because those that hadn't ever used our services in the past will realise what they've been missing. They'll realise that actually on many occasions we charge no more, and on some occasions it may be a little more, but that advice, that confidence, that trust is all completely free. And I often think if people once people book with a travel agent, if we do a good job and don't let them down, they'll just continue booking with us again and again, and obviously spreading the words to their friends and family to come and book with us as well. So we can absolutely come out of this looking great. We just need to come out of it.
Yeah, that's fantastic as ever, Lee. I always feel so great after speaking to you on a Monday afternoon. It really sort of buoys me up, and I hope it has done for everyone else. But that seems like a great time to sort of leave it there. But how does the rest of the week? What's the rest of the week got in store, Lee? Do you think that you'll finally get that wall sorted out in the shop, or who knows?
The wall's on the list to be done for definite.
It's a long list, though, I suppose.
Yeah, I must be honest. We just need to book as many holidays as we can this week. We really do need to start making some money. I am getting so fed up with some companies that have been delaying refunding. So I'm going to be moaning at a lot of people this week as well, just in an effort to try and get our customers their money back. But there's some exciting things happening as well. So we've seen kind of some cruise lines launching new itineraries for 2021 and 2022. We've got some exciting things happening with EasyJet Holidays, which I think we'll speak a bit more about next week. So there are some exciting things happening. But yeah, we need those bookings coming in.
Yeah, let's hope. Right, fingers crossed. Here we go. This time next week, we'll be speaking about the tills rigging and the bookings coming in. But yeah, cheers as ever, Lee. Really do appreciate you taking the time to speak to us, and thanks for everyone for checking in as always. Yeah, same time, same place, same people next week, and yeah, let's hopefully things will pick up as always. But thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, and Lee, thanks very much. Always a pleasure.
Next week, thank you.
Cheers.